I want to kind of talk about this concept of a mission for a second, and I'll make it a little bit personal. My daughter graduated from college 2 years ago, and in me and my enthusiasm and my zeal said, I want to help you get a job. And I want to help you get a job in technology and cybersecurity. It's great, it's exciting, lots of jobs, money's good. And she looked at me and said, Dad, I want a job with a mission. I want a job where I am helping to better the world or make people's lives better. Teaching moment for me, proud papa moment for me. But it got me thinking. I've always thought I could raise good kids, and that was sort of a really nice testament to my child. I mention this because shortly after that, I was talking to WEI about joining the organization, and everyone I talked to, of course, they talked about the opportunity and what we did as a company, but everybody talked about the mission of the company and how everyone at the company wants to give back. And it was a lot of discussion around community. So this notion of mission, my daughter tipped me off to it after many years, but the notion of community really meant a lot to me. So fast forward a couple months past that, Jeff Cassidy and I, who I go way back with, we get together periodically just to catch up about what's going on in the industry, technology. We geek out a bit, We spent an hour talking about the mission of this organization called CyberTrust that Jeff was looking to join. And you got me as fired up about that as anything I've heard about in a very, very long time. So I took back what Jeff told me about CyberTrust and the mission of this organization to help with a problem that I think most of the business leaders in this room struggle with. It's not about technology, it's about people. It's about getting the appropriate, well-trained, skilled, enthusiastic, and most of all, hardworking people into your organizations. And Jeff's discussion about what CyberTrust does, really convinced me this is the right move. I went back to our headquarters the next day and said we have to get on board this organization. So I'll give you some credit for that. Thank you, Jeff. But I also wanted to kind of point out who the most important people are who are here today. Are the students and the interns who are part of this kind of inaugural CyberTrust program. So could you students and interns raise your hands? Awesome. The beauty of this is I've watched you guys for the last hour or so interact with people here. For those of you at the table, these are the guys you want to meet. I project forward 15, 20 years. They're going to be sitting in your chairs at some point, hopefully. We're waiting. I think one of the things we said, we're waiting for the first CyberTrust CISO to take their position. So, again, while you're here, please get to know the folks here. Fair enough. So I'm going to talk briefly about WEI because that's I guess why I'm here, right? To explain why we're up at the table. WEI is a very well-resourced, long-standing technology integrator based out of Salem, New Hampshire. Very successful company in lots of different technology disciplines, networking, storage, virtualization, data center, cloud, and near and dear to my heart, cybersecurity. Probably about 400 active customers. There are a number of our customers in the room today, and thank you guys. And we do business with a lot of the biggest companies in New England and beyond. Customers like working with us. We did a lot of awards, in terms of supplier, sort of how we react to our customers, how we take their interests in mind. We're a diverse supplier as well. But the really most important thing about WEI is the people. We have probably 85 people at WEI who carry the engineering title. So we're in the business of helping you guys solve problems. We're not about schlepping technology and wishing you luck. We're here to help. These people cover a lot of different technology disciplines. We do a lot here. And the beauty of this from a cybersecurity perspective is when we talk to someone about the challenges they're facing in their cyber organization, we also have a perspective on their full technology estate, which makes our ability to solve their problems, your problems, a lot better. So again, we do a lot, and behind each one of these services, there are teams of people with diversified skill sets that can put all this together. In terms of the cybersecurity organization, I'll kind of wrap up with this. There's really four main pillars of what we do. Zero trust in network security. This has been the history of WEI for about the last 15 or 20 years. We've got a lot of people skilled in this technology. Near and dear to my heart, and very relevant to what you guys are going to talk about today and see in the range, is modernizing the security operations organization and modernizing the SOC. On the far lower left corner, cloud security. We've migrated a lot of our former data center customers into the cloud now, and security is an important part of that. It's a very different approach. We've got a very deep bench in cloud expertise and cloud security that we can bring to bear as well. And then the last bucket up in the upper left corner is helping customers get an understanding of what they have and what assets they own. If you don't know what you have, it's incredibly difficult to secure it. So this is really kind of these are the four building blocks of the cybersecurity organization here at WEI. I don't want to talk much more about it because I don't think we're here to talk about technology. We're here to talk about the challenges you guys face in terms of finding and retaining talent.
All right. I'd also like to thank, before I get going, Bridgewater State. Everything I talk about today was kind of built on some momentum that started 2-3 years ago, and Bridgewater State was among the initial stakeholders in that, and we wouldn't be here today without that. So anyway, let's start with mission. Todd did a great setup for that. So, we were formed as a nonprofit through this collaboration of a number of government, higher ed, and industry leaders, folks in roles like yourselves, folks from the vendor community in cybersecurity, and the problems they were trying to solve were kind of two seemingly unrelated things. One was growing and diversifying the workforce. The other was helping under-resourced entities like local government, nonprofits, and small businesses actually secure themselves and defend themselves. And we ended up putting these ideas together with a program that would do all of those things in a very synergistic way. So, we've got 3 missions here. They're all critically important. One is to grow the workforce. In doing that, we're working with colleges. We have 9 member colleges in our consortium right now who we work with to enrich their programs, recruit talent, et cetera. And really enlarging the pipeline of talent available to your organizations that's how we measure our success in that part of our mission. We're also trying to create opportunities. So when I was at MITRE as COO, I kind of owned the hiring process for about 1,500 employees a year in the STEM fields. And I kind of got all the challenges with trying to do that and recognized we kept going back to fish in the same ponds. We'd hire our cyber people from the same schools with the same programs. And it's like, okay, all we're doing is competing with everybody else to do this same thing. So we've got to go out and find ways to grow that pool, to find new sources of talent. And what we're doing with this initiative is extending to community colleges, career development programs, state universities, and so on, so that there's going to be a much richer set of programs available to generate that next generation of talent. And a lot of the people in these programs are people you would not have traditionally seen in cybersecurity. So we think this is creating, and I view, I've been in engineering for many, many years. I've always viewed engineering as kind of a good upwardly mobile profession. You can start with your degree out of engineering school and make a good living and support a family and so on. Cybersecurity is that on steroids. I mean, you can really start at a basic level in cybersecurity, earn a good living, and if you commit to development, I mean, you can take your career in a real wide variety of directions, and we want to try to support that. The final part of our mission, as I said, is strengthening security. We really want to help provide essential security services to entities that really don't have the ability to secure those today, either for lack of money, lack of knowledge, or just general awareness. So we have a few key initiatives that we run as part of this. These are our 3 lines of business. The first one is broadly Cyber Range. So we have built a lot of our engagement with our member colleges around state-of-the-art Cyber Range. You're going to see across the street what is, don't tell the other colleges, this is the flagship facility, at least as it stands today in 2024. No, don't. It only creates trouble. No, it really is. And we've got a really strong platform to underlie that. But what we have found is that that platform and all of the content that's available as faculty across these programs start to come to grips with that, how to integrate it into their programs, it's kind of having this elevating effect and leveling effect across a lot of disparate programs. So they're seeing things that they really should be incorporating, and they adopt them. So this is a really exciting program. You'll see a bit of a taste of it. I want to point out Megan Martinez. She is our director for Cyber Range at CyberTrust, and she really plays not only the platform role, but also engaging on curriculum and other programs. So next, security operations centers. I like to describe these as like a teaching hospital for cyber. So we are taking students kind of when they've completed most of their program, and we've got 6 of them here. Raise your hands again. Mostly from Bridgewater State, undergrad, graduate. We have Rena from Perscolas of Greater Boston, a career changer into cyber, good choice. So, you know, they've learned the theory, the academics. In the future, they will have done that with the benefit of the Cyber Range, so they get much more familiarity with the hands-on. And then they move into the SOC, where we're actually serving cities and towns with a set of monitoring and response services, vulnerability management. I mean, we will grow under Jeff Cassidy. Raise your hand, Jeff. He's our SOC director. We will grow our offering to the greatest extent we can within the limits of our team and the financial wherewithal of our customers, really. So we have structured that as well. So it's not just show up and we'll give you work to do. We've developed now a program of training for first few weeks, month or so on a set of skills. We have job assignments that are programmed to touch on a variety of different skill sets that we think students should be exposed to, and we're also supporting and paying for students to take the Sec Plus certification at the end of this, at the end of their tenure in the SOC. So, once we do that, we've got some structure. We'll grow that. We'll adapt it to different, some different job roles and whatnot. But we think we're trying to make this kind of a highly sought after program for students from our member colleges. The final part of our mission is collaboration between business and higher ed. We think it's really important to have the cyber employers in the region connected to the cyber educators. Right now we have 9 members. I think that represents on the order of 750 students worth of enrollment in cyber programs. So we aspire to grow that past 1,000 this coming year, and to 1,500 I think is very achievable. That's starting to be a good sizable pipeline of talent for this, for industry around here. And it's a real opportunity for companies like yourselves to engage with those programs so that your voice is heard and they're kind of incorporating the things that you think are important into their programs. So that's a real focus of ours, and one of the main reasons why we try to attract corporate partners into that. It's kind of one of the ways we think about this. We think about the pipeline very systemically, and we recognize it starts in high school or before that. One of the things we want to do is have industry support for our college members to go and recruit and try to attract new people into the field. We need to compete with other STEM fields and other industries. We think that's doable. We want to strengthen and encourage the two-year programs so that they're widely available as an entry point for people anywhere in the state coming from any kind of background. We want to have cyber credentialing programs for non-majors. There are a lot of people who get far enough into their college programs and may become intrigued with cyber, but it's a little too late to be a cyber major or a computer science major, so we want programs that they can sort of slot in when they're still at college. We think it's important to have continuing education being done in a little more programmed and a little more engaged fashion with industry. So we can't just dump entry-level talent into your organizations and say, train them up, take good care of them. We think that there is continuing training, and if we have some offerings available, we think that it makes it easier for you to actually take them on and help them grow through on-the-job training, and it's reducing that burden on you. And then, of course, we want to be able to retrain workers from other disciplines. We think there are a lot of people who I've been approached, when I've given talks, and say, hey, how do I change? I'm in healthcare, I'm in some other field, I want to do cybersecurity. We want ready answers for that where they can do it while they're still working, supporting their families, and so on. So that's our vision. That's our aspiration, is to cover all those things. I wanted to put this quote up here. It's from the National Cybersecurity Strategy that came out last year, and it really resonated. This came in after we had already formed, so they were kind of singing from our hymnal. And it's really, building and maintaining a strong cyber workforce can't be achieved unless one of these careers is within reach for any capable American who wishes to pursue it. And the important part here, every organization with an unfilled position plays a part in training the next generation of talent. That's really kind of core. That's the core ethos. We're looking for partners who embrace that. WEI, I think, clearly does, as you'll see from the next thing. I've mentioned consortium a bit. This is kind of the model that, as we set up this not-for-profit corporation, CyberTrust, we wanted to make sure we had strong industry support, and those are our corporate members. We also have college members, higher ed members, who also serve the education mission. We want them in a single group, an organization, the educators and the employers. And we think this can be a powerful way to transform this whole industry, this whole ecosystem. So that is what we're about. If you want to hear more, talk to me or anybody from our team here. I think that's it.
So when we think about talent these days, at least the way I think about it, there's early career in particular. There are two glaring issues. The first one is a skills gap, right? So kids coming out of school have a phenomenal theoretical background. Bridgewater State and CyberTrust have helped take a giant leap in that regard with the Cyber Range, the CyberTrust relationship. The internship program is far and ahead of anything I've seen, and I look a lot in everywhere. So that's great, but I would challenge any of you to show me an entry-level job description that doesn't say 3 years of experience and experience with XYZ technology, and please have this, or don't bother wasting my time. Well, that's great. So what do these kids do? The other thing that we're trying to address is there's a really sharp diversity gap in technology. Technology functions are the least diverse function in our country. So along those lines, right now we have 20% of technology roles are held by women. 7% are held by Black Americans versus 14.4% of the population. 8% are held by Latinx population versus almost 20% of the population. And almost 84% of all executives in technology are white. So clearly, when you look at the population versus what's happening in tech, there's a lot of work to do, right? So how do we reach those kids? How do we reach those people? How do we establish pathways? And how do we give them the tools to be successful in that? So the biggest challenge is most technical managers were originally independent contributors and haven't always had the best training on how to deal with young folks, help mentor them, help give them the skills to succeed in that. So, we really focus on that as one of the key challenges. And knowing that that's a challenge, we wrap that into the program where we mentor not only the apprentice, but we also mentor the hiring manager to make sure that there's early intervention if anything's going wrong, to make sure that we can course correct on any of the training applications, that we can course correct if there's any changes in technology direction that we need to change the training for. The on-ramp for college kids in large corporations is very difficult. If they don't have well-established programs to deal with that, they don't do it. So that's an opportunity for us to step in and provide a solution for that. So the way we do that is we search for attitude and aptitude, right? So we assess kids. We go out and look for kids that have the work ethic, that have the right attitude about it, and can really step in and attain the skills. Skill attainment is probably the easiest part of any role. If you have the right attitude and aptitude, you can obtain the skills to be successful. And I think the people in this room, the seniority that you have, you'll understand the people that you've dealt with in your careers are the ones with the right attitude and aptitude, and skill attainment is really kind of secondary. The key thing for us is really tailoring the role and the training to the specific tech stack that you're working with and the role that you want to put these individuals into. So we work with you, look at the role, we understand the personal attributes required to be successful in that role, and then we develop an assessment based on that to we assess all the candidates that we put through the program to understand and make sure that person has the right raw materials to be successful in it. And that's kind of the starting point to make sure. Then we go out and recruit those people, we put them in front of you, and you make the final decision. But the key for us is, first and foremost, is the right attitude and aptitude, because it's the key to success. For the young professionals, it's kind of what we mentioned before. It's very difficult for them coming out of school. They have a great theoretical background, not a lot of practical knowledge, although Bridgewater and CyberTrust are addressing that. But one school in Massachusetts doing that isn't really going to make a dent until we really blow this up and get corporate environment going, getting the support that we need. As Pete mentioned in his last section, that we need corporations and entities to really step up and play a big role in that if it's going to be successful. So they don't have the specific experience to do the job, and how are they going to attain it if there's not an organization that's forward-looking enough to have programs in place for them to do it? Well, we do that through the individual development plan. We work on the role, and then we work on the tech stack, and we train them specifically to that tech stack. So as I think Todd mentioned, we're not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk. WEI is a minority-owned business, and we have, I forget the number, but it's a significant portion of diverse folks in our organization. I think it's up to 25% is non-white in the team. So it's not just something that we're trying to sell. It's part of the mission. Our CEO, Belisario Rosas, is highly invested in this. He brought me in to this organization predominantly because of this apprenticeship role. So it's highly supported, and it's not just lip service. It's kind of who we are. So how does it really work? So I've kind of trying to give you an overview of what it looks like. But really what we do is we identify a need with a company, say, I need a SOC analyst 1, or I need whatever role you have. We sit down with you, we do an assessment, understand what you need, understand what the role is, understand what technologies that individual will be working with, and we design a development plan that goes along with that. So it's collaborative throughout. We'll give you a training plan that says, hey, we're going to deliver these trainings on this schedule. You have full ability to look at it and say, don't need this, add that, remove this, change the order of this. And even when we're halfway through the process, if we're 6 months into the process, and you have a technology change on the board and you're retiring some tools, we can change that on the fly, update on the fly. So we identify the individuals that we're going to screen for you. We give them the assessment, kids that score high enough on the assessment where there's a close enough match for their personality assessment with the role. We'll interview them, we'll vet them, and then we'll put them in front of you to make the final decision on who you'd like to bring on board. So once that's done, we begin delivering the training plan. We'll do a couple of key trainings up front, just for table stakes, to make sure that they can contribute right away. So we're not going to dump them on your floor day one with no net new skills. So we'll do a little bit of training up front to make sure they can come in and contribute right away. We'll give them the opportunity for several weeks to work using those skills in the role on the team that they'll ultimately be on. And it's an iterative process. So we continue to deliver that training, put them back on site, filter in soft skills training at the same time to make sure they know how to navigate the organization. A lot of these young folks coming in have never been in a corporate environment, don't want to make a misstep. We also have the mentoring in place that they can place a call, say, how do I deal with this? What should I do? At the same time, if they're having performance issues, we'll do the same thing with the manager on the backside. This individual is not performing. How do I address that? So we mentor them both throughout the process. At the end of typically a 12-month period, sometimes they go longer depending on the complexity of the training required. At the end of that process, you have the opportunity to hire them directly. It's not mandatory, it's optional for you, but we have a 99% conversion rate of apprentices that we put on site that ended up getting a full-time job from the corporate sponsor at the end. And then even if that in the case that doesn't work out, if your FTE allotment's been consumed, you don't have a spot for them, it's still a win for the apprentice. They've been an employee at WEI, they get paid full benefits, they're our employee. They've now had, a year's worth of experience working with real tools in a real job, and we'll help market them after that. That's only happened minimal times. It's very few instances where they haven't been hired on full-time at the end. So then just to give you kind of a graphical view, because some people get not confused, but don't see it as easily. This is kind of what it looks like, kind of from a timeline of how the apprenticeship works. We'll sit with you, do the assessment, understand the role, develop the job suitability assessment, deliver the assessments of the individuals, provide those results to you, provide the candidates to you. You select a candidate that you'd like to bring on board, and then we begin the back and forth of training, on-the-job training, and hands-on supervised project work. So that continues on throughout a year as we continue to give them mentoring as well as mentoring the hiring manager, just to give every chance of success to make sure we can course correct at any point along the way and ensure success as best we can. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's a lot of details in the weeds. If you want to learn more about it, I'll be around. I'm happy to talk with you.
Thank you very